be joining us. I'll call to order this meeting of the on August 21st of the Nantucket Planning Economic Development Commission. I have 509, and we'll go ahead with the script. This meeting is convening by video conference pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. This meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that other people may be able to see you, and take care not to share your device's screen. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Please silence all phones and devices. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Attendees must register to participate and will join in listening mode. They can click the raise hand button to indicate they want to speak. For items with public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak should state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. We are observing the 3-minute limit on public comments in the public comment portion of our agenda. And if you're not able to participate in the remote meeting, you're always invited to submit comments to Megan Trudell at her email, mtrudel@nantucket-ma.gov. And you can request that they be read into the meeting record. And Mary Longacre, Chair of the Nantucket Planning and Economic Development Commission, permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Wendy Hudson.
Here.
Dave Iverson.
Here.
Nat Lowell.
Here.
Joe Topham.
Here.
John Trudell.
Here.
And I do not see Seth Engelborg, Christy Ferrantella, Don Holgate, Bert Johnson, or Barry Rector at this time. Megan, if they join, please give us a shout out. And staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Leslie Snell.
Here.
Megan Trudell.
Here.
Mike Burns.
Here.
And Raysa Kwame from Mass DOT.
Here.
Thank you all for coming this evening. Turning to the agenda. So do we have a motion for approval of the agenda, please, or any comments about changes or other adjustments?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Nat, for seconding. Roll call vote. Wendy Hudson.
Aye.
Dave Iverson.
Aye.
Nat Lowell.
Aye.
Joe Topham.
Aye.
John Trudell.
Aye.
And Mary Longacre, aye. Thank you. At this time, we'll open for public comment. I do see members of the public, and Hillary Rayport has a hand raised. Can we, Hillary, if you would like to be promoted to panelist, please unmute. Hillary, are you there?
Yes. Hi.
Go ahead with your comment.
Okay. Can I start my video or?
Yes.
I don't see.
You have to give me a minute to promote you to panelist. Hold on.
Thanks so much. Hi there. Oh, thanks. It's so nice to be able to see everybody for the first time in a really long time.
We're trying to use the technology to the best of our ability. So thank you for joining.
It's really brilliant. So I wanted to join to make a public comment because I've been hearing at various public discussions about the home rule petition, questions about adding the Nantucket Historical Commission. I know I've heard repeated several times how this commission likes the idea of having additional people and likes the idea of having the land bank, and that's often followed by comments, or I don't know about often, but it has been followed by comments about, in the preservation group, either the HDC or the NHC. And so I just wanted to explain why the home rule petition requesting changes asked to add the Nantucket Historical Commission. And the reason that commission is in the request being processed through the state right now is because the Historical Commission is the preservation planning group. It does surveying and planning, documenting, advocating for the protection of historic resources. It's the group responsible, it shares responsibility as a member of the certified local government for the Section 106 reviews. The HDC on Nantucket is an architectural review board, which considers the historic resource when it does its architectural review, but it's really about not just the old things, but also the new things. Does this new thing make sense in our historic environment? So I think for a long-range planning group, the long-range planning preservation arm of our collective certified local government preservation commission would make most sense. So I just wanted to say that because I guess it's just important for everybody to understand the difference between the NHC, Nantucket Historical Commission, and the HDC, Historic District Commission, and why the Nantucket Historic Commission would be the right commission for long-range planning. Thanks very much.
Sorry, I had to mute. There was a helicopter going overhead. Are there other members of the public present who want to offer a comment at this time? Please use the raise hand feature in Zoom to let us know. And thank you, Hillary. I muted myself when I said thank you earlier. So I am not seeing any other hands raised. So moving on to the next item on the agenda, just announcing that we have released the executive session minutes for February 23rd and March 20th of 2023. Those should be available from the planning department or on the town's website once they're posted. Next item is the minutes of June 26th. And those, I did send some minor edits to Megan. Megan, are those incorporated at this time? Do we need to share them on the screen, or how do we want to proceed there?
I can share them on the screen, and I've sent to Fiona to incorporate before they're posted on the website. So hold on.
While we're getting that up, did anyone else have comments or changes to the minutes to suggest?
You looking for a motion, Madam Chair?
If they're, okay, Megan has got her screen. Okay, so Megan has the notes up. People want to take a brief look at that. I corrected a term roundabout to intersection improvement for Francis and Washington Street corner, and asked for some clarification on who was being attributed to what comments. And
oh, did I say the word roundabout? That's not
no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Oh.
That's why I caught it in the minutes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Wow.
And so those are essentially minor changes.
Yeah.
So given those, do we have a motion to approve the minutes with those changes?
Make that motion.
Thank you, Nat. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dave. Roll call vote. Wendy Hudson.
Aye.
Dave Iverson.
Aye.
Nat Lowell.
Aye.
Joe Topham.
Aye.
John Trudell.
Aye.
And Mary Longacre. Aye. Thank you. The next item is acceptance of membership appointments. So neither Seth nor Bert are here, but we did receive communications from their respective committees, the Conservation Commission and the Nantucket Housing Authority, reappointing them to NPNEDC. Correct, Leslie? Yeah. So we can simply take a motion, I guess, for both of those to accept those appointments.
So moved.
Thank you, Nat. Second.
Second.
Thank you, John. Roll call vote. Wendy Hudson.
Aye.
Dave Iverson.
Aye.
Nat Lowell.
Aye.
Joe Topham.
Aye.
John Trudell.
Aye.
And Mary Longacre. Aye. We also have to reappoint someone to the Harbor Plan Update Committee. And Leslie, I believe we received a request from Seth for that reappointment. He's the current representative. Is there any other interest in serving on that committee? Or does anyone want to make a motion to reappoint Seth?
I'll make that. I'll second Dave's motion.
Thank you, Dave and Nat. Roll call vote. Wendy Hudson.
Aye.
Dave Iverson.
Aye.
Nat Lowell.
Aye.
Joe Topham,
Aye.
John Trudell,
Aye.
Mary Longacre, aye. Next item up is the area plan guidelines review. So in the packet, we included both the document that was signed by Judith and Nat and Andrew previously with an invitation, generally speaking, to civic associations and other neighborhoods for how to consider whether to pursue an area plan. And so we wanted to put that together with the guidelines that were presented at the last meeting as a complete package. We also had the opportunity for commissioners to review those additional items. And so are there any comments or questions about the two combined documents that were in the packet? Megan, I don't know if we want to pull those up on the screen as well. The area plan guidelines from the last meeting is not changed, so we can go straight to the previous document. And if anybody had comments on either of those, this would be the time. So I believe, Leslie, we talked about next steps would be inviting the groups that represent neighborhoods which currently have an area plan to review and submit any comments or questions on these guidelines. In addition, we can also reach out to the Civic League and ask them to invite their member organizations to do the same. And then we can bring this back with any additional changes or suggestions from that review.
And Madam Chair, we included a list of all of the area plans on your agenda just for everyone's, just as a reminder.
Okay, I am looking at an old copy of the agenda, so if I skip anything, please let me know. Apologize for pulling up an older version. So Wendy, please go ahead.
I just had a general sort of question. I just the guidelines seem, pretty in-depth, and I just want to make sure we have some sense that we're inviting, that we welcome the public's participation. It just, reading through this, if I was like a neighborhood association or whatever trying to get to this, I would be daunted a little bit by the all these restrictions or guidelines, that you really have to. I understand that it's a public process and it needs, we talked about this at the last meeting, but I just want to make sure that we're extending an open arms type of, welcome to people rather than just like too many hoops to jump through. Is that a valid concern, or am I out of line?
No, I think you have a good point that when these are sent out, especially to specific neighborhood groups, they should go with an invitation, not just blank. And but the invitation would be, we do want to have participation, and this is what you need to know in advance in order to make that effective and efficient.
Yeah, many of us who've worked, with the department know it to be incredibly welcoming, and I just feel like there's just a slight disconnect in tone that I just wanted to make sure we're aware of. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Any other comments or questions from commissioners? So Leslie, I don't know that we need to adopt this. This is still in draft form pending additional comments. So I think we've had the opportunity to review them as commissioners, and our next step is to have them reviewed by interested parties. So we'll proceed with that and then bring it back. All right, next item on the agenda, the Transportation Program Manager update. Mike Burns.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to share my screen and get the agenda off of the screen. The first item under the Program Manager's report is the FY 2024 3C contract. This item is for an agreement to fund the fiscal year 2024 UPWP, Unified Planning Work Program. Mass DOT distributes PL funding And this year for Nantucket, it totals $324,343. That's the value of the Unified Planning Work Program. This describes transportation planning activities from October 1st of this year through September 30th of next year. Staff requests the NPDC authorize the Director of Planning to sign and execute the FY 2024 3C contract with Mass DOT, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions or comments from commissioners? If none, we'll take a motion to authorize the Director of Planning to sign and execute the fiscal year 2024 3C contract with Mass DOT.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Dave, and Nat for seconding. Roll call vote. Wendy Hudson,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Nat Lowell,
Aye.
Joe Topham,
Aye.
John Trudell,
Aye.
and Mary Longacre, aye. Thank you, Mike. Next item. And Megan, would you bring Carl Jellamy over as a panelist, please?
And Madam Chair, thank you. This item is related to, as you know, a petition seeking public support to address delay in queuing along Newberry Farm Road at Milestone Road. I'll just note that, as noted in the 2017 Old South Road Corridor Study, there is significant delay along Newberry Farm Road at this intersection. A single lane roundabout was recommended to improve the level of service from F to A during peak hours. This has been included in the 2020 and the draft 2024 long-range transportation plans, and was part of Article 15, if you might recall, Article 15 of the 2018 annual town meeting, and that was seeking $14 million that was requested for this and other improvements along Milestone Road and Old South Road that were approved at town meeting, but were not approved at the 2018 annual town election. And then at the 2019 annual town meeting, you might recall there was approval to request Mass DOT reconstruct the Milestone Rotary and widen the Milestone Road. A project need form was then submitted in the fall of 2019. And just as an update on where we are today, staff is currently coordinating with Mass DOT to initiate all three of these projects for review and approval by Mass DOT's Project Review Committee. There is a September 22nd deadline that staff is adhering to submit those projects for the Project Review Committee's October 12th meeting. And I'll just note that more is going to be known about the status of all of these projects after that October 12th meeting.
Mike, I have a couple of questions, but let me defer to any commissioners first if there are questions or comments on this item. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone with a comment. My first question is this a settled design or is this a concept design that we're looking at on this slide?
It's a conceptual.
Okay, so there's opportunity for elements to move or be configured in any way that makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay. And then the second question is, with the petition that Carl Jellamy of Toscana started and submitted to us recently, what is the best avenue to use that to get support from the state for this project?
When we initiate the project, there's a portal that Mass DOT uses. I honestly need to see if the current version actually allows for uploading of documents such as studies or petitions or any type of letters of support or anything like this. I'm confident that there is, and that's what I would do with the petition, just to demonstrate public support, include that along with some of the other study documents, and noting that the NPDC has some history of endorsing this as the preferred alternative for the intersection.
Okay. Mr. Jellamy, would you like to speak to the petition and this situation that we have that Mike is presenting, the current status?
Sure. Well, I think everyone knows that it's pretty much self-explanatory that the traffic out this way is pretty horrendous. And I first approached Mike about it with a suggestion of putting in a turning lane on the right-hand side at the north end of Nobodere Farm Road, so that folks that are heading towards Sconset could at least turn onto Milestone and get a portion of the traffic out of the way, similar to other turning lanes that you guys have put in lately, just like the one at Old South Road and Macy Lane to get to the airport, which has, in my opinion, has been incredibly effective for a small amount of investment. And so I mentioned that to Mike. He said, well, the larger plan in the state is, they're interested in doing a rotary, which I think would be great, but it's a long way away, funding, approval, et cetera, planning and design. So our hope would be that in the meantime, we could do a turning lane. It's just low hanging fruit and quite simple to do. I would think, in my opinion. That's it. Thanks. Any other questions anybody has?
Any commissioners? Dave, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Carl. Actually, mine's more to Mike, and I was just wondering if this it doesn't appear to all fall in the layout for the road. So where are we with property? Do we need to get easements or?
I believe this, and again, this is just a schematic based on GIS information, that with the state highway layout, which is 66 feet or 3 rods, if anybody recalls what a rod unit of
11.
measurement is. So 66 feet, and then there is a county layout of 150 feet at this area. So I think the area needs to be properly surveyed. This is just based off GIS level of information, and may not be as precise as what we'd want to do for understanding the right-of-way issues.
Thank you. We'll go to John Trudell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just really a question for Mike. If I recall last meeting or 2 meetings ago, I used an example of coming out of the annex building, coming up to the point where I had to make a decision whether to turn right or go straight on Old South Road, right being on Nobodere Farm Road. And I noticed for the first time in 30 years that I was between a rock and a hard place. Traffic was literally backed up on both sections where no matter what I did, I was going to be in line. I think it took me about 22 or 23 minutes to cross just Nobodere Farm Road. The reason why I bring this up is because we mentioned again, the roundabout, rotary, whatever you'd like to call it in the definition of the size, but it's been on our list for a while. And it was, I forget where it was on the depth chart. It might have been 8th most important or 5th most important in the areas of improvement for the island, especially since we've had different funding grant requests. So I guess my question is, how do we bring this up on the level of importance to maybe bypass a couple of things that are ahead of it, because things change. And I just noticed this particular summer with everything, commercial traffic, residential traffic, you name it. You can make any excuse, school traffic. There are 2 schools on the island on that road. So, baseball fields, softball fields, soccer fields, etc. There's a myriad of things, and not to mention Toscana and other businesses that use it. So how do we bring this up on the depth charts to make it more of a priority and address it so that we're not just looking at a temporary fix with although I agree with Carl, a right-hand turn that would alleviate some of the traffic. How do we get this in the hopper to be more of a level of importance?
Thank you, John. Can you address that?
I can say that the each project has a score associated with it based on its impacts or benefits to the area. That's simply a guide for sorting the projects out. The town, if we're going to fund this locally, the town has a capital review committee that reviews all capital projects based on a schedule of when they would be implemented, and that would likely be the arena where we'd want to prioritize projects. So for the I believe the FY25 capital program is being developed right now. So that I can share that if that's but I don't honestly, I don't have a capital schedule with me right now or a draft version of it, but I can communicate that when we do develop that we should try to prioritize this intersection in that list and see where that goes. Again, it's a appointed committee, the capital review committee makes recommendations to the finance committee, who makes recommendations to town meeting, and staff just helps inform those decision-making bodies. So that's one way to do it. I mean, I just want to make it clear that like we do score this, and it might be down in like the depth chart, so to speak. But again, that's just a guide. The community can kind of dictate the urgency or priority of a lot of these projects they'd like to see sequenced. And at least staff is moving with their discussions with Mass DOT to include all three projects: the Milestone Rotary, the widening of Milestone Road from the Rotary to the Bunker Road, and this intersection as to be advanced at once, since there does seem to be the urgency with moving this along, get this implemented.
Okay, I guess that does answer a lot, but if there is anything specific we can do or address, or again, with a petition or something like that, that maybe reevaluate the score status of that to move up in the level of importance, please, I'd be the first one to volunteer if there's something I can do for that. And obviously with the community, if there's something that the community can do as a whole to do that, I would think that this is an area that is well needed, that we already knew, but maybe a little bit sooner than later. But appreciate it. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you, John. We'll go to Nat.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank Carl for jumping in with this, because we've been trying to do this roundabout stuff for 20 years, and it's been difficult. We only have one. Mike, to Kyle's point about the turning lane, it looks like it could be constructed as part because it's in part of where the roundabout work would be. Mm-hmm. The Nobody Farm Road is only a 30-foot layout, as I recall. That's always been a problem. I didn't realize that until a few years ago, that it was 30 feet, not 40. So we're going to end up needing to, like Dave said earlier, we're going to have some kind of easements and stuff done for this project, regardless of whether we put the turning lane in temporarily or, or as this project moves forward, we're going to have to do something, because that 150 feet, unless that comes back far enough into the beginning of Nobody a Farm where that covers it, it may, Mike, I don't know. We can't tell by this plan. So I just wanted to bring that up. And you already answered my second question about the other projects on Milestone tying into this as part of the, overall state stuff that's involved in this road. But I'm glad you brought up Beta and 2017 and those dates, because this is the stuff that it's forgotten. Like, right after the vote to turn down the stuff, everybody forgets that it happened. So it's nice to have a timeline. Maybe you could create some sort of list of all these things, of how we've lost by so many votes. We win at the ballot box, we win at town meeting and then lose at the ballot box, that kind of thing. But I'm glad the issue has come up, because it needs more attention, and hopefully the public is ready to accept roundabouts as a good solution for Nantucket's 6 intersections that need them, including Milestone's current rotary. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Nat. We'll go to Joe Topham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I agree with everything that John Trudell just said, and that, and I know that Carl has stepped forward, but I know he's speaking for a lot of people behind him, and this really needs to be done. And is there any way we could do an emergency permit with the state, or just to put the the passing lane on that one side, like Nat said. And, you know, we got land bank to the left of this image that we're looking at. To the right is the airport, which can't imagine it's going to be a problem at land bank on the opposite side of the road. So I really don't feel that we're going to have really major issues with all that, you know, getting variances from the property owners. But I really think that this should be put to the front. You know, we've all been on this road. We all know what happens on it and how long we sit there. And it doesn't matter we're on Old South Road or this road. You're standing still for like, you know, 25 to 15 minutes, you know. So Mike, anything you can do to move this forward, would greatly appreciate it. So thank you.
Go to Wendy Hudson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to sort of underscore what Nat just said, you know, that there are at least six identified other places where we've all seen the wisdom of doing this, and that we could use help from our media partners in the community to, you know, to point out that we have these solutions kind of identified. And just as you said, like, how did it fail and why? And we need to build a little more support for it. I think seeing, you know, what the Nantucket Current has been pointing out, the car accidents that have been happening, places where this has a traffic calming effect, like in this particular instance, I think there's a safety argument to be made that's really, it's really important. It's like keeping things moving, you know, at a reasonable pace and flowing. I think we need to try harder to sell this is the bottom line. Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. And you teed up my two final comments very nicely. First, I want to say thank you to Carl for, you know, helping to make the public more aware of what it would take to improve this intersection. As Nat and Mike both pointed out, you know, we tried it before and we didn't get the support at the ballot box for the funding. So I hope that, you know, your initiative has helped the public to understand that supporting this would make a big difference. The other concern I have is safety, and whether it's the roundabout or the right turn lane. I'm noticing that the the bus stop is right there after that right turn from Nobody Farm heading east onto Milestone. And I would be very concerned about safety as cars are no longer stopping either through the roundabout or through the right turn lane. And they're making that right turn without enough visibility to see pedestrians or people or the bus pulling out from the stop. So I just want to make sure that we're looking at that design and you know, keeping in mind the safety of the bus stop that's there, and maybe that needs to be relocated somewhat. Any further comments on the petition or this intersection? I am going to ask the public here. Again, Hillary Rayport has a hand up. Megan, if you can promote her to panelist again. This is definitely a public initiative, so happy to take further comments. Hillary, go ahead when you're ready.
Oh, hi. Yeah, thanks for taking my comment again. I really like the idea of a campaign just generally about roundabouts. You know, this is coincidentally a petition coming up in the context of a public process of planning for transportation systems. So I think the group and the cornerstone of public processes for planning for transportation is to make sure that it's equitable and you can consider you know, all stakeholders, not just you know, that everybody is considered and that it's impartial. So I think I would be a little cautious about suddenly pivoting to prioritize the project that has a petition. Not that this isn't an extremely important project, and I think the petition is a really good thing, but to frame it in the context of an opportunity to maybe invite some folks from the Federal Highway Transportation Department who are experts on roundabouts to come to the island and maybe do some information sessions. And then you can sort of cue it off this petition that there's this public interest, let's learn more about it. I think if you focus overly on one area instead of other areas, people could get a little nervous. But I think people really appreciate having the opportunity without feeling like something's being pushed on them in one location or another location or some special interest, to have experts come to the island, talk about roundabouts, talk about safety, and just kind of have many opportunities to talk about it. I'm just thinking about the Bartlett Farm at Surfside Road roundabout, which was under planning for so many years. And the traffic consultant who was hired, I think it was GPI in 2011, recommended a mini roundabout and a second option as a modern roundabout, which is what you're seeing on the screen. And then the third option was just a stop sign. And there were lots of people who just wanted the stop sign, but it didn't go anywhere, until 2018, when we spent a lot of money on road right-of-way approvals and acquisitions and, $250,000 on a plan. And then it just got voted down, and it was just so much time because people really didn't want it for a variety of reasons. So I think starting again with like overall promotion of roundabouts, lots of talks about them as a traffic solution would be a great way to go to help the community accept these really good ideas.
Thank you, Hillary. Any further comments from members of the public in attendance? I'm not seeing any. Mike, is that everything we need to do on this topic? Are you ready to move on?
I can move on. Yes. Thank you.
And thank you, Carl. We're going to put you back in the attendees.
All right, Madam Chair, this is our fifth and final meeting for the development of the long-range transportation plan. As shown in the project schedule, we are in meeting number 5 here, and this meeting is to review suggested changes to the draft document based on comments, as well as to close the public review period and approve the long-range plan. What were the comments that we received? The most significant comments were provided by Mass DOT. We did receive 16 public comments as of the end of last week, and 75% of those comments were in support of the policies in the plan. A listing of all the comments that we received and staff responses to those comments are provided in the meeting material, and I'm happy to go over any one of those that the commission would like to discuss. I can say that there are some suggested edits to the priorities based on coordination with the airport. The airport suggested removing the priority for limiting non-compatible land uses along airport runways and noise contours, and this concern apparently has been addressed, and the much of the area of concern is now zoned as industrial. So airport asked that or suggested that that could be eliminated as a priority. They also suggested that we change under the affordability priority, change fares to travel and have affordable travel for Nantucket residents. And that comment was made just to relate to the total travel costs, either using the ferries or the airport, just ensuring that total costs of traveling was considered when looking at that. It's things like long-term parking and things like this that could be part of the cost of traveling on and off the island. There was no suggested edits to the funds for or the funding schedule for transit or to the highway or the transit action plan and the funding table there. I will note that there was a list of prioritized roadway projects, and I had neglected to include the Pulpus and Milestone Road short-term improvement, which we're funding right now in our TIP under 2024. So that has been included here as the 4th item down. And I'll skip to slide 21 since a lot of the remainder of this is unchanged. Another comment from the airport was to move the advanced air mobility from the aviation section to emerging technologies, since there's a little less certainty whether this will actually materialize as a technology or not. So that's unmanned aerial systems, and then electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft have been moved over to emerging technologies rather than elements within the aviation section. And I believe those were the bulk of the changes. The balance of the changes are noted in the table, and were based off a lot of Mass DOT comments, things like listing out the members of the NPDC in the document. That was included. So the public review of this long-range transportation plan has been ongoing since July 28th. Noticing was done through the town's communication staff. Recorded presentations and the draft documents were made available on the Zen City website. Hard copies were made available of the draft at the Athenaeum, the town building, and at the planning office. And staff has provided additional presentations to the Rotary Club of Nantucket, the non-voting taxpayers, and to the Nantucket Select Board. And all that said, Madam Chair, staff's requesting action to first close the public review period and then to approve the 2024 long-range transportation plan.
Thank you, Mike. Comments or questions from commissioners before we go to a motion? All right, we do have a member of the public with their hand up since this is a public review period. Megan, can you promote Hillary Report again to panelists for her comments?
Hello again. Yeah, so I have just some public comments on the long-range transportation plan. I guess the first comment is that I don't understand why there wasn't a public information session, like a dedicated information session, when everybody could be invited to come and ask questions and get their questions answered and really have a Q&A process. I know there was really an incredible response to the surveys. I think more than we've ever seen before, and it's terrific. It means the Zen City platform is working, and Mike's doing a great job with the survey with help from town administration, but it's just, there's no substitute for having an information session when people can ask questions and actually meet with their planners. So I guess you guys have to close this today, so we probably aren't going to get that, but I would like to have an explanation of why it couldn't happen. It just seems like it's an opportunity to build consensus around some of these really difficult and, you know, things that are scary to people. I guess you probably want me to run through all my comments. My other comment is I did fill out the form. I had to say that I didn't agree with the plan, even though I actually agree with a lot of the stuff in the plan. I was forced to choose, do you agree with it or do you not agree with it? And I had to choose no, because there were elements that I don't agree with. It talks about the parking garage downtown, and, you know, we've had like lots of votes. We've had people in town meeting, you know, express overwhelming disinterest in the parking garage downtown, and it's related to a private development. I just don't think it merits being called out as a priority in the long-range transportation plan, given that there's a lot of, I can't think of any instance where there's been overwhelming public support for a parking garage downtown. I think there is public support for a parking management plan, for more enforcement, for you know, passes, and there's been a ton of good work, including relatively recently updating that parking plan. But I think to have this, you know, public document say we're going to have Harbor Place, it's going to have a 270 space parking garage, is I don't see the public support for that. And this is supposed to have, you know, be a plan that reflects the public's input. My other comment is about the Milestone Rotary and just the Rotaries in general. I kind of gave half my comment about Rotaries before, thinking that, like, let's do marketing for Rotaries. We've really got to get these into place. They will improve air quality. They'll reduce our island's carbon footprint. They'll reduce road rage and frustration. They'll ease traffic. The plan emphasizes complete streets and multimodal transportation, and we all want more people on bikes, and we want more people walking, and we want roads to be safe for all users. So that makes a lot of sense. But it seems like whenever I listen to this commission talk, they really want less traffic, and less traffic was less delays in traffic. So I would encourage you to put, you know, get some more roundabouts, just put it in the plan. Like it should be there. We want more roundabouts. What it says is more reliability. And I know what you mean by that because I follow your meetings. And I know when you say we want a more reliable system, you mean we want to know kind of how long it's going to take me to get from A to B because I'm not sitting in an unpredictable traffic buildup. But if you want more roundabouts, I think it would help to actually put that in the plan. I personally would certainly support that. But I think I would just ask you to not forget the old South Corridor Road study that was done that was Mike referred to earlier. That plan recommended roundabouts at at Nobody Farm Road and at Amelia Drive. But it actually said not to build any of those until Milestone Rotary was fixed. And the reason is that Milestone Rotary is such a large and busy node, and it's so broken because it's a rotary and not a roundabout, that you might find that it ameliorates traffic at other nodes if you fix it. And, when John Trudell said, well, I was trying to decide, do I go right or do I go left? Do I throw my fate with Old South or do I throw my fate with Nobody Farm Road? A lot of people are making that decision, and it's usually better at Nobody Farm Road. So people tend to go that way. And if we could fix the Milestone Rotary, we would find potentially less traffic on Nobody Farm Road. So that's my last specific comment about the plan. I do appreciate that historic resources are covered in the plan. I'd asked a question a little earlier about that, and I can see it's adequately in the plan. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Hillary. Any other members of the public at this time with a comment on the long-range transportation plan? I am not seeing any hands up, so we'll go to Nat.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I just want to make a kind of an overall sort of finishing comment on this conversation. First of all, as I said earlier, 2003, 20 years ago, we started talking about the Atlantic Avenue four-corner intersection roundabout. Painful. It was a difficult process. Now we have agreements with the hospital, but for that land to work, but there's a reluctance to accept them. It takes time. The one we have at the post office, there were people on Hooper Farm Road. One particular person who's no longer with us was adamantly opposed to it. And now it's just sort of part of our life. And if you don't think it works, then you're just being negative, because it does work.
So Nat, just a reminder,
do
this
agree.
comments on the long-range transportation plan.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting to that. So this plan, how often is this changed, Mike?
Every 4 years.
Is this updated? Every how many? 3?
4.
4. Okay. So we're probably not going to have 6 roundabouts built in 4 years. I can probably bet I'll be right about that. So I think that with Hillary's comment about having roundabouts in the plan verbatim, I get what she's saying. I agree that we should be talking about them more. But now that there's agreement to put in a roundabout out of nowhere, which I'm really glad this has happened, we need to kind of realize that this is not our first go at this. And unfortunately, that's the process that we have in place at this moment, is to get these things done is very complicated. So I support that other people are supporting this. This is really a great thing. It's just that we have to kind of, realize that we've been doing this for a long time. And I hope that the public does catch on and approve this stuff and support it as we move along. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Nat. So we'll take a motion to close the public review period.
So moved.
Thank you, Nat. Second.
Aye.
Thank you, Joe. Roll call vote. Wendy Hudson,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Nat Lowell,
Aye.
Joe Topham,
Aye.
John Trudell,
Aye.
Mary Longacre, aye. Any further comments from commissioners or a motion to approve the 2024 long-range transportation plan?
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Dave. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. Roll call vote, Wendy Hudson,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Nat Lowell,
Aye.
Joe Topham,
Aye.
John Trudell,
Aye.
and Mary Longacre, aye. Thank you, Mike, and especially thank you for the tremendous amount of outreach that you did. I saw you everywhere.
Thank you for that, Madam Chair. So this wraps up my second regional transportation plan that I developed this cycle. I have to say that I'm very proud of what I got to be exposed to the last couple of years. So the next item on the agenda, Madam Chair, is related to a grant that was awarded earlier this year to Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, and Franklin County to develop safety action plans. Since the grant was awarded, the next step in the process is to execute an agreement with the Federal Highway Administration for funding to be expended by September 30th, 2025. Federal Highway should be sending a signed copy of the agreement in the coming weeks for the region to sign. This request is to authorize the chair to sign that document and execute the agreement with Federal Highway for the Rural Massachusetts Transportation Planning Organization's joint Safe Streets and Roads for All application. Happy to answer any questions about this request.
Questions or comments from commissioners? We'll take a motion to authorize the chair to sign and execute the agreement with the Federal Highway Administration for the Rural Massachusetts Transportation Planning Organization's joint SS4A application.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Thank you, John, and I'll take Nat as the second. Roll call vote, Wendy Hudson.
Aye.
Dave Iverson.
Aye.
Nat Lowell,
Aye.
Joe Topham,
Aye.
John Trudell,
Aye.
and Mary Longacre, aye. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the next item is also related to the Safe Streets and Roads for All. This is a memorandum of understanding, and it's been drafted to outline the roles and responsibilities of the three rural regions. Notably, the Franklin Regional Council governments will oversee procurement, which will begin, we've scheduled it to begin that in October. Once a consultant is selected, the Nantucket region will oversee the grant administration. There's no monetary value at all to this agreement. Rather, it's just ensuring that there's coordination among the regions so that each has their own action plan as described in scope of services, and staff requests that the NPDC authorize the Director of Planning to sign and execute the memorandum of understanding between Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, and Franklin County regions to collaborate to develop the safety action plans.
Questions or comments from commissioners? Mike, I have a question. So Nantucket will oversee grant administration. Will that be your job, or is it somebody else handling that?
Be my job to ensure that we're all coordinating, and then work with our finance department and Federal Highway to make sure that, and a consultant eventually, to make sure that all the monthly invoicing is processed.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion to take the requested action? And with your permission, I'm not going to reread it since Mike just did.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah.
Nat for a second. Roll call vote. Wendy Hudson.
Aye.
Dave Iverson.
Aye.
Nat Lowell.
Aye.
Joe Topham.
Aye.
John Trudell.
Aye.
And Mary Longacre, aye. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And that is the end of your list, I believe. As always, Mike, you have the longest list of any of us, and I appreciate
Don't leave.
what that you do to make all those things happen.
Well, you did get a break last month. I think it was noted that just had the one item last month. So hope you enjoyed the break.
Okay. Leslie, would you lead us through the next item, the Transportation Program Manager, T. Michael Burns, Personnel Action Form endorsement?
Yes, I did not put the personnel action form in your packet, but I did recommend that Mike receive a 4% raise as of July 1st. And I would like for the commission just to endorse my recommendation. That's not required, but I think it would be helpful. As we just saw, Mike works really hard. He has a lot of responsibility, and this would put his hourly rate more in line with what it would have been had his work week not changed, from 35 to 40 hours.
Thank you, Leslie. Comments or questions from commissioners?
Make a motion to endorse or approve the 4% raise.
Second,
Thank you, John. Thank you, Dave, for seconding. Roll call vote. Wendy Hudson,
Aye.
Dave Iverson,
aye.
Nat Lowell,
Aye.
Joe Topham,
Aye.
John Trudell,
Aye.
and Mary Longacre, aye. Thank you. Next item is the ongoing discussion of our enabling legislation with the vision, mission, and objectives. So if I remember correctly, we presented the objectives at the last meeting, and again, commissioners wanted a chance to digest those and come back with any comments. Megan, if you can put those up on the screen when you have the opportunity. And were there any comments from commissioners, items to add, subtract, edit, or anything else? Wendy?
I guess I'm kind of going to reiterate something that Hillary was saying earlier, just the historic. I wasn't sure under, I feel like another bullet point could be added to that celebration and appreciation, just acknowledging. And again, I'm sorry if I missed it somewhere else, but I didn't see like really our historic character of the island. I'll mention for some people too, I do sit on the executive board of the Nantucket Historical Association. So just for the public's benefit, there's many of us here who care about that and are actively involved in some other organizations too, but just wanted to put that out for consideration.
Thank you, Wendy. Megan, can you scroll up and display the vision and mission as well? I just wanted to review what we have there. Okay. Thank you, Megan. So if we want to scroll back down to the last section where Wendy was suggesting another bullet. Wendy, do you have specific language that you would suggest here?
That would have been smart of me to draft that up. I apologize. I can work on that for a sec. Did it echo? Yeah, I think it warrants its own bullet line rather than inserting historic somewhere.
Okay.
You think
So we are you thinking in terms of preservation, celebration, appreciation? Which verb do you want to use?
I think supporting. I mean, I'm looking at these other things where we're coordinating with other organizations. It's a collaborative thing. It's not, what we do, but we do have an eye to other organizations. And
To support historic preservation, is that too little or is that enough?
If I may,
Balance.
Madam Chair, just
Yeah.
an idea to recognize and appreciate the historical significance. Maybe somebody can put that in better terms, but I kind of follow what Wendy's saying. The island does have a history, and I don't see that word history in here. Obviously, with the preservation that we've done in the downtown core and different areas of the island, that's pretty much the reason why we have what we have for the tourism and the economy that we have as well.
yeah, the cultural districts, I mean, the arts, I think there's a couple things we could add here. It's such a huge part of our economic development even, so.
So a couple of ways we could go. We could continue to try and wordsmith it. Or since I'm thinking we have only 6 of our members here, John and Wendy, if you wanted to collaborate or come up with the bullets that you want to add, maybe we bring this back the next time for a more expanded discussion.
Thank you. I feel like I know that we were sort of hoping to get a vote here, but I know, we're missing Barry, who is very impassioned on this particular topic. So I could hustle something, but if moving it to the next time makes more sense, then that's fine too.
Let's take Nat's comment before we make a decision.
Yeah, just, and I'm rolling back in my mind of when we discussed this and my comment about Barnstable. In the regional coordination section, I like the wording that we have in there. I'm just not sure exactly how to add Barnstable, but my point being our relationship with them is sort of, I don't want to say overlooked at all. I don't mean that, but it's really important. It sort of gets a flyby. We don't think about it. I know the select board realizes it, but I'm talking about from a perspective of there are things that go on over there between the steamship and Barnstable Town Council that affect us. And people don't know stuff is happening. Little things, land, parking, different. We just did something with them to get these new boats to be able to be 10 feet longer than this regulation that we had signed years ago with the dockside restaurant move and things like that. And I just think we should emphasize the relationship with Barnstable and Nantucket is monumental. It's really important, paramount, whatever word you want to use, and try to maybe get that in there somehow. You know, at a later meeting, somehow plug that in. Not sure. You know, I don't have the exact language in my mind, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is, yes, this still needs some editing. And I think in particular, because we have 5 members who are not here tonight and they may also have some edits, we should take any comments tonight that commissioners want to make, but also continue this into the next meeting. Wendy?
One more comment I had under the economic development was promoting independent business. You know, we have the chain store bylaw and things like that. And I think an emphasis on independent business is appropriate to my mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Other comments from commissioners? Okay, so we will continue on this. Again, anybody with a suggestion, send language if you have it to Megan, and we'll try and work on incorporating the thoughts that have been expressed here tonight, and we'll bring it back in September for the opportunity for additional comment. Next item on the agenda, discussion of August 10th, 2023 editorial in the Inquirer and Mirror. So I'm going to preface this a little bit. This was intended as a broad, or I should say broad, a high-level discussion. This is not intended to wordsmith a response in this meeting. This is intended to discuss in general the situation that we find where the public or a public body has expressed an opinion about the NPNEDC and how and where and is it appropriate for us to respond. So Dave, if you want to take us through your thoughts on this. Actually, before you do, I also want to put a couple other remarks on here. This is a sensitive topic because of the nature of this editorial. We do not want to delve into personnel matters in this forum. That is not appropriate. And I want to make sure that the rights of the individual employees of the town and the responsibilities of the employers, and in our case, the NPNEDC is an employer, are respected properly. And also that members of the public are treated respectfully as well. So please keep those guide rails in mind. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, I guess it's got on the agenda because I requested it, I think. And I think that some other people shared that feeling. And I guess the discussion that I wanted to spark, and I wish we had more of the members here, is just what do we do in this situation? I think that, you know, there's a couple different, you know, there's personal attacks and there's policies, and how do we respond to either of them? Because they're not the same, I don't think. And so I don't want to pick apart this op-ed. But I do think that we as a board need to put some thought into how we respond, if we respond, if it's wise to respond, if we're just kicking a hornet's nest. So I just think it's a good discussion for us to have, in all honesty. So that's kind of where my head's at. And I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts.
Other commissioners? Wendy?
Oh,
Yeah, I found it, helpful. It's always worth looking at what we're doing. And I was glad to have the public, the expression of the public interest. My favorite line in that was that we perhaps have done, Leslie a disservice by not, having it a little bit more publicly broadcast or showcase, how qualified we all believe. I personally believe certainly, that she is for this job and that it was right. And, by trying to be efficient, where we had seen so many vacant seats in the town and how the town, when we didn't have Mike's position, look at all those.
Wendy, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to remind people that
oh, sorry, it was too specific.
Personnel is probably not appropriate in this form.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure that that it caused me to reflect that the more open public thing is actually serves us all. I'll leave it there. Is that good?
Thank you. Joe?
Nat, go ahead.
No,
No, you've been huffing and puffing, kid, go.
I'm doing pretty good with this new gadget. I got more screen people now too. It's pretty good. I like this. I'm getting a case. I don't have a case yet, so I've got it propped up here. I don't want it to fall. This is, this issue, I think, is a symptom of a much bigger issue that we see pretty much weekly now. And, the debates that we have currently between, different groups have created the atmosphere where writing stuff that may never have been printed, even 10 years ago, certainly is sort of normal now. And I don't know what the answer is. I think responding just because it's the right thing may not necessarily be the right thing as much as it used to be. I think sometimes not responding is better than responding, depending on the context, depending upon the ability to keep it short and sweet versus getting into all sorts of different points of view and statistics and this and that. But it's clear we have the media is different now. It's not like it used to be, and it's vile sometimes. But I drive down the road every day knowing what I know to be true. We just went through a conversation about roundabouts. This is a good example. People don't have any idea how much we've tried to do this stuff and how complicated it is. That may be part of our future, is getting more detailed with the public instead of the traditional way. We tried some of that with some of the things that happened in town when the sewer blew up on South Beach Street. And we did get some progress, but it was a lot of work to have those forums. But there's a lot of misinformation out there flying around constantly about planning. It isn't just about MPNEDC, it's just planning in general, zoning, confusion. And I think that some of the up and coming conversations that we're going to be having with build out analysis stuff and things like that are going to sort of change the perspective of the public. They're going to find out things that they don't know, and it's going to change things. But I personally think that the reasons that these, I don't want to say attacks, but public, messaging that comes out of media, especially in an editorial like that. It's shocking to read, but this is the current atmosphere we have now. So I don't want to make any comments on whether we should or shouldn't respond. I think that's depends on the content. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Nat. We'll go back to Joe. Joe, you're muted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I don't mind kicking a hornet nest every once in a while. But at the same time, you know, I kind of wish that the editorial had the name on it, because there are certain groups, there are certain people with their own agenda. And I think that we gave everything proper due course and discussion, own personal feelings of that decision. I wouldn't change it, but I definitely think that if I kind of knew it was coming from, then I guess I would say let's reply, but I don't know who I'm replying to, or is it a group, is it one person? So I just don't think that that's really a necessary thing to do right now. But again, like I said, I defend my decision and everything that we've done. But I do think that, or I wish the person would come here and have the conversation with us, because most time in that dialogue, you'll come up with an answer or understand that person's perspective, and I'll have more respect for them for doing that publicly, or attaching the name to an editorial. And I say that because now we know Marianne's gone, and I don't feel like that the editor is truly writing all these letters. So that's my own belief. The way they're written, they seem a little bit different. But again, I don't think that we should respond to this. I think that we've done the right thing. And I wish the person would come and let us have an open conversation, dialogue about this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Joe. Any other comments from commissioners? Dave?
Geez, John, come on. I know you got something to say.
I always have
yeah.
an opinion, but if you notice, I've been quiet because I actually kind of agree. With no response is sometimes the strongest response. If there's a strong response to something, it almost feels like as if we've done something wrong, and we haven't. I think when we show up for meetings, we dedicate our time and our research. We try to represent the island in the best ability that we can. We're either appointed through an election from a position of election. So we do represent the people. We don't do anything that we should feel like we're embarrassed about or apologetic about. We have every good intention, and I think that's what we strive to do. So by creating an issue with something that we don't feel there was an issue, we're bringing attention to it, and we're just letting it continue, because there's always going to be criticism. There's been criticism since there was a soapbox invented with somebody where somebody stood on it. So there's been criticism in the past, present, and there will be in the future. I think you take that with a grain of salt, and if there's something of value that we can draw from it, we do. If there's something that we did unintentionally or inappropriately, obviously we'll be either reprimanded or we'll learn from that. I don't feel like in this particular case we have, so I don't think there's more of an issue to address it. I think, again, as I stated, the less that we say, the more stronger we are, because we stand with our convictions and our decisions, and I think we leave it at that. And that's what I wanted to say without saying it.
Thank you, John. Dave, did you also have a comment, or were you just trying to get John to speak up?
No, I'm sorry I did that to you, John. I mean, I think I'm glad I pulled your insight out, because I think it's important. I hear Wendy, I hear everyone. I just thought that it's important that we as a board talk about these things. I'm fine with not doing anything. As John said, everything we've done has been in good faith and what we all feel is in the best interest of our community. I just think it's important that we as a board, we we process this together, because I think it's that op-ed is it puts forth some pretty strong ideas. I don't necessarily agree with them all, but I'm glad to process it with the board. So thank you, Mary, for putting it on the agenda, and thanks for everyone giving us their opinion.
Okay, are we ready to close that discussion?
Yeah.
No further comments. Next item is other committee updates and reports. The Land Bank and Select Board joint meeting. So that was in reference to the Washington Street corridor. I attended that meeting, and I was really happy, not just from a coastal resilience perspective, but also from a town government perspective, to see that those two bodies were collaborating enthusiastically about finding solutions for that corridor, with the threat of the rising sea and the storm surge, and other water hazards that we may have down there. I wanted to bring it to the NP and EDC's attention, because I did talk to Mike Burns and ask if there were opportunities through federal and state funding that we have access to contribute towards the development of solutions for the Washington Street corridor. And so, Mike, if you want to briefly tell everyone what you told me, that would be appreciated.
Sure. I just noted that through coordination with our federal liaison during the Safe Streets and Roads for All agreement development, getting that document edited, we discussed about other funding opportunities related to resiliency. There is what's called a Protect grant, which is a grant program using federal funds specifically aimed at resiliency projects, just like a lot of the ones that are noted in the Coastal Resilient Plan. And the deadline for the first round of funding closed just a while ago, but coordinating with our natural resources staff, we do intend to apply in the next round. I believe there's going to be an annual appropriation of Protect grant funds. So next spring, we're going to try to develop an application and have that submitted for next summer. And however successful we are, we intend to put other projects in subsequent years for that grant funding. So the Protect grant might be something that we discuss more often in the near future, at least over this next year, to describe what that program is and then what projects we're seeking to fund with that funding.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions or comments from commissioners on that?
Oh, I'm thrilled that the positive meeting. I heard about it, and I think it's great. And the Washington Street, that's been a long time coming. The properties that have been acquired over time, the Walter's house getting moved and the switch there, and the future of downtown is part of this. I mean, there's the bulkhead along there is in pieces. It's all probably been done by private property owners over the last 75 years. And a real actual plan for Washington Street has never been discussed until now. So I think this is a great thing, and hopefully we'll be around to see it. Things take time now, unfortunately, but I think it's a great start.
Thank you, Nat. Joe?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did watch it, and I thought it was great. I thought it's a great first step. Sitting at the table and getting things forward. I think that more committees and subcommittees should be getting together and having those kind of meetings. Not that we really want to have more meetings, but no, it's fine. But I think that it's important to sit down and really make sure that everyone's in their lane, and some things will connect and some things will be a gap, and find out how to put those gaps together. So I thought it was a good first start, and I'm glad they're moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Other comments? Any other committee updates or reports from commissioners? Okay, moving on to other business. We have a draft meeting scheduled through 2024. So Megan, Leslie, and I looked at the calendar. And in general, neither the third Monday of the month nor the fourth Monday of the month is perfect because of holiday schedules. And so what we decided to do for 2024 was, every month figure out which one was better. So we're not necessarily staying with the published third Monday of the month, because the reality was we were frequently not meeting on the third Monday of the month anyway. So we wanted to put this list together for commissioners' feedback and advanced knowledge for our meeting dates through the end of 2024. Wendy, did I miss your hand on the previous topic, or is this for the calendar?
This is for the calendar.
Great.
I will say, related to the calendar, the Rural Policy Advisory Commission is meeting September 7th, I believe. So we haven't met in a while, but next time we'll have an update on that. I thought it's good that we're meeting frequently. I did want to ask if we could do hybrid in person and Zooms. Where did we leave that topic? And I just miss being in person, especially, I guess, with, well, lots of reasons. I miss you guys, but also just with the public, I feel like it's more accessible at times. As long as we can have a hybrid, always have an option of Zoom. I think that's important, but I just wondered, Madam Chair, if you could.
So I think we should put that on an agenda for September. I do have some concerns about hybrid, and Wendy, perhaps you and I can talk and get a better mutual understanding of each other's ideas. But yes, it should be something that we revisit periodically to determine how the commission feels about our meeting methods. So happy to do that in September. Other thoughts on the calendar? I'll note that the Thursday, February 22nd is because the third Monday is the President's Day holiday and the fourth Monday is part of school vacation. So we need to slip in between those two Mondays, which makes it a Thursday. Anything else jump out at anyone? So Monday, September 18th is our next scheduled meeting. That is the third Monday of the month. And then I think October 23rd, is that a fourth Monday? I can't remember.
This is a third. So I left the remainder of 2023 as it had previously been approved, but I'd be happy to move that October meeting to the fourth Monday, if that would work for everyone.
Megan, that is the fourth Monday. So October
that is
the 2nd, 9th, 16th, and 23rd as the 4 Mondays. And 30th.
You know what, we probably did that because of planning board schedules and the Indigenous peoples holiday.
On the 16th,
is what my guess is. It's been a while since we talked about the 2023 schedule. So I did make one update. It's August 26th, not the 19th. So that is new.
Okay. So any comments on that, sort of no longer paying lip service to the third Monday of the month, but just simply specifying the dates where we will meet in the coming year. And so I have to make sure the website is updated to remove any reference to the third Monday of the month. And we'll put this on the website if we have a motion to adopt as shown on the screen.
As long as November 20th, you all wear party hats for my birthday. It's not a major holiday, but
it is for us, Joe. I'd make that motion.
Thank you, Dave. Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe, for seconding. Excuse me. Roll call vote. Wendy Hudson.
Aye.
Dave Iverson.
Aye.
Nat Lowell.
Aye.
Joe Topham.
aye.
John Trudell.
Aye.
And Mary Longacre, aye. So as I said, the next meeting is Monday, the 18th. And Leslie, we are inviting the current area plans, Nantucket and town area plan groups to present on their progress, correct, for September? And make sure that they're aware of that well in advance and are prepared. I have told the town area plan group at our meeting earlier this week or last week.
And I reached out to the Nantucket area plan, and we're going to have a conversation maybe later this week.
Great. Okay. I believe we are ready to adjourn.
So move.
I'll make that second.
Second that. Roll call vote. Wendy Hudson.
Aye.
Dave Iverson.
Aye.
Nat Lowell.
Aye.
Joe Topham.
Aye.
John Trudell.
Aye.
And Mary Longacre, aye. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mary.
Paul.
Mary.
Thank you,
Madam
Mary.
Chair.
Great job. Thank
Not
you
all.
very much.
That was-
Mike,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Mike.
All right.
Thank you all.
Staff.
Was like the
Yeah.
Mike Burns show today, though.
See you guys.
Bye,
Have a good
guys.
night.
Thanks again, Mary.